we kept going.
Say that, sort of.
All right, it says my stream is live. Let's give it a minute and see if it's running again.
Okay. Where are you? Are you under historical consideration?
I don't know. I haven't started yet.
Yeah, that's where the part came from.
For me, I'm in my overview. Yeah, I think it's in your historical
The second
considerations.
paragraph of that historical.
Each of three visions in there?
No, the next paragraph.
The literary structure?
The paragraph starts the events of the story.
Thank you so much.
Steve, if I pop back up on the live stream.
It's like
Yeah.
the fifth line.
You're moving now.
I'm moving again. Okay, well, we're just going to keep going then, and we will figure all this out. So we run into all this post-trib, A-trib, amillennial stuff because people try and uncoil this spring. And what happens is, like I said, the world will end today in our class, right? Believe it or not. And yet, I'm not getting through the whole book, right? In fact, the world's going to end at least 2 more times before we're done. And a misunderstanding of how this is functioning is part of what causes a lot of this different weird rapture-esque, even though rapture is not in the book of Revelation, period, that's Thessalonians. But I think it's Thessalonians anyway. Joe's not here, so he can't correct me. The world ends multiple times, so people are trying to figure this out. Well, I got an easier way, and we'll get there. And remember that this cyclical structure is intended for the purpose of giving different details. John, or God, will focus on different aspects of this tribulation, right? This tribulation that stretches from the ascension to the return of Christ, right? Just for our awareness here, today, our focus, this cycle's focus, the cycle of the 7 seals, the focus of this cycle is misery and suffering. By the way, that's going to be a common theme, that is caused by humanity. These are things that we do to ourselves because of sin. And that's going to be the emphasis. And I believe it's in the bowls.
So not supernatural events.
Right. No, nothing we're going to talk about today.
Disasters, people.
Well, for the most part, we're not talking about natural events of any kind. There's one that kind of spans the boundary, but we're going to look at the detail of why this is a man thing. And I believe it's the trumpets. We see how nature causes suffering. How creation itself is causing suffering for humanity.
That's right.
But that's not today. Today, our emphasis, this cycle, the emphasis is the suffering that man imposes on humanity. The suffering that we, in our fallen nature, have caused ourselves. Right? These are kind of the just desserts of our sinfulness and our rebellion. And let's not miss also what I personally think is one of the most hope-filled chapters in the entire Bible. One of my favorite chapters is chapter 7 specifically, but we will get there. So, for the sake of time, let's dive straight in, and then if we have more questions, we can kind of hit them as we go. May I have a volunteer to read? Thank you, Jeff. Chapter 6, verses 1 through 8, for perhaps the most famous portion of the book of Revelation.
Okay. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. When the Lamb opened the 2nd seal, I heard the 2nd living creature say, "Come." Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. When the Lamb opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine.
Through 8 at least.
All through 8.
Yes, thank you.
When the Lamb opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth.
All right, thank you. So we have the first of the 4 seals. Like I said, this is perhaps the most famous portion of the book of Revelation, partly because it makes for good paintings and good movie titles and good songs and things like that. Very dramatic, right? The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, right? By the way, Apocalypse is the name of this book in Greek, remember? This is the Apocalypse of John, right? The revealing is just what the word apocalypse means. By the way, we're going to demystify a lot of scary words, like Armageddon. We'll get there. Not nearly, well, it is both as dramatic as you think it is, and it's just a place in the Levant. But we'll get there. That's not, we're not at Armageddon yet. At least not as Revelation calls it. We're coming to that. So we have our first 4 seals. And so as the Lamb is opening these seals, with each of the seals being opened, John sees a vision, one after the other. And for these first 4 of the 7 seals, with each seal comes a horseman. And the horseman's a different color, and it's holding different stuff, and it's doing a different thing. Right? And so we kind of have this repetition, this through line going through them. The first is the white horse. Right? So we have, I'm going to read it. So this is verse 2. And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer. Now, the first horseman is perhaps the most problematic of the 4 horsemen for a very strange reason.